Welcome back, in-game community. I'm Pierre, and I'm here to give you the injury rundown from Week 13, as well as some waiver wire pickups and must-add players. In Week 13, if you are a Justin Jefferson owner, you are very happy. Now, if you're an Adam Thielen owner, not so much. He left the game right at the beginning with sprained ankle. It's very possible he's going to miss this coming week because the Vikings now turn around and play on Thursday night. Someone who did benefit, besides Justin Jefferson, who went off, was the number 3 receiver, KJ Osborne. He did catch 4 balls for 47 yards on 7 targets, along with a touchdown. Now, we did see him have some big games early in the season. He's somebody you might consider picking up if you need to replace Thielen. Should have a big role in this coming week. The Steelers defense is not what it used to be. They've banged up all sorts of injuries there, and we've seen them give up a lot of yards lately. So Osborne is definitely someone you want to pick up. Alongside, if you needed somebody at tight end, Tyler Conklin also had a career high in targets this past week, so somebody you might consider if you do need a tight end. All right, some more bad news on the tight end front. Logan Thomas, who had just made his comeback after missing several weeks, looks like he has torn his ACL and is out for the rest of the season. Now, if you want the next guy up for Washington, it's somebody who you might have already heard about or even played earlier this season. That's Ricky Seals-Jones. He's somebody who played in Thomas's absence, had a few nice games kind of mid-season. He's been out, though. Last week he missed because his own injury, a hip issue, but he should be back. Looks like it's not a big deal. He will be the starter. John Bates, the rookie, also has gotten some playing time. You could see both these guys in action, so it's hard to say that it's just one of them that you should pick up. Seals-Jones, I assume, would be the starter. So if I'm looking to replace Thomas, then Seals-Jones might be the guy. But you also should probably look elsewhere in tight end. There's still guys like Evan Engram, Gerald Everett, and Conklin, who I already mentioned, who should be available in a lot of leagues. All right, another season ender here. Bad news for Kenyon Drake, who honestly just hadn't been fantasy relevant as of late anyways, but his season is now over because of a broken ankle on that tough tackle. So Drake obviously should be dropped if he hasn't been already. There's nobody else really in this backfield that's of interest. Peyton Barber should be the next guy up, but again, he's been sparingly used since Gruden left, and I don't think I would rush out to pick him up. But there are a few guys at running back that I have in mind that you should be adding. So stick around for the end of the video and I'll tell you who I think you should be adding. Some more running back injuries to know about. So first of all, this one seems pretty mild, but Miles Sanders, we know, had an ankle issue going into week 13, and he did play, left the game early with the same ankle issue, but the good news is the Eagles are in a bye, so he'll have time to recover, and he even said himself after the game, not a big deal, shouldn't cause him to miss any time. Interesting though, what's going to happen with this backfield in week 15, because Jordan Howard might be back after missing a couple of weeks with an injury himself. Kenneth Gainwell looked pretty good again this past week when he got some action. Boston Scott missed all of practice, didn't play even though he was active. We could go back to this 4-headed monster along with Jalen Hurts back at quarterback. So hard to say that you're going to necessarily start Sanders right away, but he's not hurt, at least seriously, so there's that. Corey Davis also suffered what seems to be a mild injury, calling it day-to-day, his quad injury. The problem is, Corey Davis has been missing a couple of games. He's been banged up a lot lately, so hard to rely on him, and he hasn't been producing a whole lot with Elijah Moore clearly stepping up as the lead receiver in that offense. Jamison Crowder doing his thing, getting receptions out of the slot. It doesn't look like there's a lot of room for Davis anymore. So again, the injury isn't a reason to drop him, but maybe just lack of production and consistency is a reason to drop him. Not a must drop, but at this point, with Davis just not being able to stay healthy or play consistently, it might be time to move on. Speaking of moving on, the Houston Texans benched Tyrod Taylor in week 13. And so we do know he suffered a left wrist injury. That's his non-throwing hand, so that really isn't the reason. Partly the interception he threw early in the game and just not generating points on offense. That's part of the reason too. Of course, Davis Mills, the rookie, didn't do a whole lot better. At this point, why not give the shot to the rookie and let him see if he can develop, get some game experience. So I would say at this point, Taylor should be cut. Looked like he might produce some games. He had that 2-touchdown rushing game, and he's, produced from time to time, but he's not part of the team's future, and it looks like he's not part of the team's present anymore. So Not so much the injury, but the fact that he has not been effective as planned. Looks like you can cut ties with Taylor if you are rostering him. And then the final injury news I want to report, it's a little odd here. Don't have a lot of details out of San Francisco. It seems like both Eli Mitchell and Jeff Wilson left the game for injuries. With Mitchell, looks like they were checking into concussion. We haven't heard anything concrete as of right now, but definitely something to monitor. He had been coming on. I have him, as you saw in our top 10 rest of the season running back video, as someone who should be a set and forget RB1. So definitely monitor to see if he misses practice this week. And then Jeff Wilson, they didn't even say what it was. He's left with an unknown injury. Now again, he's somebody that we see isn't fantasy relevant anymore, but the thing is, what if both these guys are out for this coming week? Who's left in San Francisco? Is it JaMycal Hasty? And that's not somebody you want a part of. So you might be searching elsewhere. Hopefully they do get Debo back for this game. But right now, definitely something to check. Practice reports coming out of San Francisco for week 14. All right, I promised you some interesting waiver wire pickups. So let's start running back. And Dontrell Hilliard is someone you might remember from 2 weeks ago, had this breakout game. And where did he come from? Well, you probably didn't hear of him because he was an undrafted free agent. He's the age of 26. He's been around the league a couple of years, but had seen all of 29 carries in the NFL before week 12. And so he broke out with 131 yards on the ground, had that long touchdown run, and he's been now the main pass catching back for the Titans. And he wasn't added in a lot of leagues because they had their bye this past week. So I'm going to say go out and grab Hilliard if possible. He's somebody who you could possibly keep in that RB2 or flex spot the rest of the season. Now, surely you've heard of Russell Gage by now. Atlanta is just in desperate need of pass catchers. Calvin Ridley, still no return on the horizon. I think it's almost time to say just go ahead and drop him because it doesn't seem like he's ready to come back at any point. So who's the wide receiver one here? Russell Gage, career high, 130 yards, 11 catches, and 12 targets. He's been targeted a ton, by far the most out of all the receivers in Atlanta. He's definitely going to be someone who's fantasy relevant down the stretch. So go ahead and pick up Russell Gage if he's available, especially in PPR leagues. Dare I say must add at this point. Chase Edmonds of the Cardinals, he could come back this coming week. Now remember, this is somebody who had a prominent role before James Conner just started going crazy and scoring every single week. Edmonds was the guy that a lot of fantasy owners had more interest in because he's the pass catching back. He also, has some usage in the red zone. This is a great offense to have a part of. So despite the fact Conner has looked great lately, if Edmonds comes back, that's going to eat into his usage a little bit. And Edmonds does have some value. Not a must start every week, but definitely someone who, if he's available in your league, this is time to go out and pick him up because he's missed the last few weeks with injury. So go ahead and pick him up as a speculative stash. It's definitely going to help you down the stretch. All right, that is your injury and waiver wire report heading into week 14. We're here to help you win, take down the opposition. So check out all our videos, our must starts and our booms and busts. Of course, join us every Saturday night for our live show, or to consider becoming a patron and join us on Sunday mornings for our exclusive Start Sit show. Definitely here to help you win. That is our end game. All right, guys, good luck.